he made me a deal and he said, listen, if you pre-sell them, you can buy them off the market line. And as long as they're pre-sold, you can bring transport haulers in. Long story short, that went on for about 4 years, and I had 10 car haulers pulling off the auctions that we would buy. And I probably have 6 to 8 of these car haulers with 10 cars apiece on them coming in from Central and South Florida, Nevada, Vegas, and then North, Central, and Southern California.
So you lined up buyers for these before you guys ever even purchased them.
Correct.
So awesome.
Correct. Yeah, it was awesome. And so it's kind of funny coming from that industry and kind of feeling like I kind of created that myself at the time. And, you know, and I made a deal with them. Every car was anywhere from $300 to $500 a car that I would just get paid. And I'm making, all of a sudden, I'm making 10, 20 grand a month. And I had to put my kids in daycare. Like, we weren't prepared for this. Like, it just was this runaway train. And so I was kind of a day trader during the day. I just watched Mannheim, and towards the season change. So I focused a lot on seasonal areas where, you know, 50,000 minivans were dropping off in Vegas or South Central Florida. A lot of those, because they were coming off of rental cars, but they were the nice rental areas. And when they would throw 50,000 of those Grand Caravans, they'd plummet in price.
Right.
So for me to pick them up was dirt cheap. Had to pay for the hauler. But down here where I lived, and I lived literally 30 minutes from the border of Texas and Mexico, they couldn't get cars down here because we were the end of the earth.
Right.
So I could sell them for a premium price, and it was kind of this untapped market at the time. We kind of rode the wave for about 4.5 years doing that. It was cool.
That's awesome.
Fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Kind of lead me up to, you know, getting into real estate. You know, when did you kind of make that decision and timeframes? And
yep, I remember the day. Alan Greenspan was on Fox News, and I would have it. So, because I'd usually run 2 or 3 phones at a time, and I've got Fox News in the background. Alan Greenspan says we are in a full-fledged recession, and literally, it was like Jerry Maguire. All the lights just went dead. They're not stocking cars for inventory on their lots. The last thing they want to do is talk to me. And literally within an hour, my business was gone. Everything I created was gone.
That's so wild.
It was crazy. And it was one of those things that after a month of that, my husband said, well, we've now come accustomed to this lifestyle, and we're going to be living in a paper bag if you don't figure out something. And he was bugging me for forever. Go get your real estate license. You would be so good at that. Like, but one home, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. And
he was like, you'll learn it. You'll pick it up, or you get sued, and then you won't do it anymore. But you got to try. You got to try. So he was my biggest advocate. I ended up, and I said, okay, well, you know, it's 2008. Everything's tanked. I went and took my license full time, and I started with a little Keller Williams franchise in Harlingen, Texas. And at the time, there were like 8 of us that had come out of different careers. We were all brand new. A couple of teachers were in there. We came from all walks of life, and all of us, it was very, very cool to start that way because there was no airs about it. And we all divided and conquered and said, okay, are you good with veterans? Because I don't know anything about them. Yeah, I've done a lot of those. Then we get the FHA buyer, and then someone said, what's a 203K? And so we're all like, okay, we can master this. And we became professionals at 203K FHA loans, because these houses that you'd have whole street blocks just vacated, foreclosed on. A little bit of a scary time in South Texas too. Just, I'd have to have a lot of police escorts going into houses because they'd steal the front door, and copper piping was pulled out, and HVAC units were getting pulled out. It was a very, very different time, but I can tell you from starting with that core group and us kind of not throwing any airs, we got to learn together, and we got to be stronger and better because of it. It was a great learning experience. And I ended up, before I left Texas, I ended up having 2 buyer's agents. I was just getting ready, starting up that team. I was focusing on listings at the time, had 2 buyer's agents. Things were great. And this was going in right around 2011. Everything's wonderful. A lot of the cartel fighting was down there. And so those were the things that as the kids start getting older, getting into school, and I'm not asking about education. I'm like, do you have a 24-hour guard? How many cameras do you have running? That was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So my husband applied to try to get us back, and we just didn't think it was going to happen. And lo and behold, he gets the thing, hey, you can relocate back to Ohio. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this all over again. You gotta be kidding me. We did. So I was a little bit different though when I came back, because I was gone. So there was a earmark of time that we were in Texas for about 12 years. So a lot of those connections, even though I was here all my life.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I can't see you. Oh, well, there I am. There you are. Okay. So I had this scope of time, 12 years that I was gone, and I ended up saying I'm going to go into, Dot Loop had just come out. We were the beta test in Texas.
Yeah.
So I was very fluent in it. So I went on to the Keller Williams Consultants Dublin branch, and they hired me to be their Dot Loop trainer. Terrible.
I should have known you back then, but
you guys were there.
I was so against Dot Loop because I just wanted to do things the old school way. And like Ashley, who was our admin and is still our admin, is like, you guys have to start doing this. I'm like, nah, whatever. Like, I'll fax, whatever. Don't want to learn it. So I was there in 2011. I was at Consultants in 2011. Yep. So
I know you guys were.
Shame on
that
me.
Place was huge. Well, here's the thing. Because you were probably computer literate, and you were rebelling against it. The people that I had that came to my classes would bring laptops in. I mean, they still had rotary dial phones in the back. Like, they didn't have push button phones. No one had cell phone. They bring in, they're like, my kids made me bring this laptop. So can you, I would go through tutorials on how to turn it on. Have you checked your website? You don't have one. Okay. Well, so I was like, I'm going to pull my hair out. I can't do this. So they offered me another job, and they said, we are looking for a team leader to open the Keller Williams Excel branch in Westerville. I said, I can't sell. Well, okay. Why not? Let's just diversify. Let's see what happens. Loved it. I loved it. And there are still agents to this day that are still kicking my ass. But I love it because they're out there, and those are the people I love seeing them go. But I miss my buyers and sellers. I miss them terribly. And so I did that for about 1.5 years, and I was actually headhunting someone from a larger team who happened to be a friend from high school, Watterson. And she said, Darcie, you're miserable. And I said, does it really show? She's like, oh yeah,